had a weird moment this morning. I was standing in line at the coffee shop, staring at the menu board, and I swear I spent like 3 full minutes trying to decide between a medium and a large.
Okay.
And the weird part wasn't the caffeine, it was the price. The medium was, say, $5.50, and the large was $6. And my brain just broke. I kept thinking, well, for 50 cents more, I get a bucket of coffee. It's the obvious win.
And let me guess, you bought the large, even though you probably didn't actually want that much coffee.
I absolutely bought the large. And I walked out feeling like I'd beaten the system. But then I sat down with this stack of research we have for today, and I realized it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I got played.
You definitely got played. But don't feel bad, because we all do. It's part of the machinery.
That is exactly what we are unpacking today. We're calling this deep dive the hidden mechanics of choice. Because whether you're buying a latte or swiping on a dating app or even deciding if someone is lying to you, you think you're the one driving the car. But this research suggests there are a lot of, invisible hands grabbing the steering wheel.
It's the classic illusion of free will, isn't it? We like to think we're these rational agents making independent choices.
Yeah, completely rational.
But when you look at the data from behavioral economics to evolutionary biology and even some really intense game theory, you realize our decision-making software is just full of backdoors. And people, companies, our own genes even, they know how to pick the lock.
So to help us navigate this, we've got a really eclectic mix of sources today. We've got marketing psychology on, pricing hacks. We have new research on how AI uses language to manipulate us. We have quite frankly, a terrifying manual on strategic influence that treats dating like a chess match.
That one is going to be controversial.
Oh, absolutely. And we're balancing that with some biology on attraction and finally a really heavy philosophical look at the dangers of being too certain about anything.
It's a journey, really, from the grocery store to the bedroom to, the moral weight of history.
But it all ties back to that moment in the coffee shop.
It does.
Right. So let's go back to my $6 latte. In the stack, there's this famous example from Dan Ariely, the behavioral economist. He talks about the Economist magazine subscription.
Yes.
And I have to be honest, when I first looked at the numbers he presented, I thought it was a typo.
It looks like a mistake, but it's actually a trap. Walk us through the offer he found.
Okay, so Ariely finds this subscription page. Option 1, online access for $59. Seems reasonable.
Right.
Option 2, print only for $125. Expensive.
Okay.
And then option 3, print and online access for $125.
Right. So stop there. Look at option 2 and option 3.
We're the same price. What option 3 gives you everything. Option 2 gives you, less. It's literally useless. Who in their right mind would pay $125 for just the print version when the combo is the same price?
Nobody. And that is the point. Ariely ran a study on this. He took a group of students, showed them these 3 options, and almost everyone, 84%, went for the combo deal.
Of course. They saw it as a steal.
But then he did something sneaky. He removed the useless option. He just took away the print only option.
So now it's just online for $59 or combo for $125.
Exactly. And logic says the results should be the same, right? The people who wanted the combo should still want it.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. When the decoy was gone, 62% of people chose the cheaper, online-only option.
Wait, so just by having a garbage option on the page that nobody actually buys, they flipped the majority from spending $59 to spending $125.
Correct. This is called the decoy effect, or if you want the technical term, asymmetric dominance.
Wow.
The middle option isn't there to be sold. It's there to frame the third option as a win.
Okay, but why does that work? I like to think I'm smart. Why does my brain look at a useless option and suddenly decide to spend double the money?
Because your brain is actually terrible at valuation. Evolutionarily speaking, humans never had to judge absolute value.
Right, no price tags on the savannah.
Exactly. We had to judge relative value. Is this berry bigger than that berry? Is this predator faster than me?
So we're wired for comparison, not calculation.
We are. We don't know what a magazine subscription should cost. Is it worth $59? $125? We have no internal meter for that.
None.
But we do know that print plus online is strictly better than print only. That comparison is easy. It requires zero cognitive load. So your brain latches onto it, feels a rush of certainty. Aha! This one's the winner. and you buy it.
It's like my brain is lazy and just wants the answer that feels like a bargain.
Well, it's not just lazy, it's seeking safety in the decision. And you see this everywhere. Wine lists are notorious for this.
Oh, yeah.
A restaurant will put a $150 bottle on the menu, not because they expect you to buy it, but because it makes a $70 bottle look reasonable by comparison.
I have definitely fallen for that. Oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not buying the super expensive one. I'll just be modest and get the $70 one.
Meanwhile, the restaurant probably bought it for $10. That is the mechanism. It creates a reference point that manipulates your perception of value.
So that's numbers. But the stack also talks about words. And this part really surprised me because I usually think of utility, value as money.
Right.
But there's this concept of language-based preferences.
Yeah, this is a fascinating shift in behavioral economics. Traditionally, utility is just a fancy word for happiness points or benefit.
Right.
And economists used to think that utility only came from outcomes, how much cash you walk away with. But this new research shows that the label you put on the action actually changes the utility itself.
The example they gave was the prisoner's dilemma. I think most people know this one. You can either cooperate with your partner or, defect and screw them over.
Right. And mathematically, the game is always the same. But researchers did a study where they just changed the name of the game. In one room, they called it the Wall Street game.
Oh.
In the other, they called it the community game.
Let me guess. Wall Street made everyone greedy.
It made them competitive, people defected, they tried to beat the other player. But in the community game, same rules, same payoffs, people cooperated, they shared.
That is wild. So just the word community hacked their brains into being nicer.
It signaled a different set of social norms. The word community adds utility or happiness points to the act of being cooperative. The word Wall Street adds utility to the act of winning.
And this gets a little scary when we bring in AI, right?
Yeah.
We had that study by Caparo involving GPT-4.
This is where we really need to be careful. As we start using AI for decision support, asking a chatbot, how should I handle this negotiation, or writing an email to my landlord, the AI is choosing words based on probability, but those words carry these hidden triggers we just talked about.
So if the AI accidentally frames my problem using Wall Street language, it might nudge me to be a jerk without me even realizing it.
That's the risk. The study found a correlation between the sentiment score of the instructions, how positive or negative the words were, and how pro-social the human behavior was.
Wow.
So if AI systems have these linguistic biases, they could be subtly manipulating human morality on a massive scale just by choosing one synonym over another.
That is actually a little disturbing. It means the code is making moral decisions for us just by framing the question.
It's the invisible script again. But if you think being manipulated by a chatbot is bad, let's pivot to the one area of life where we all think we're just following our hearts.
Romance. Oh boy. The mating table base.
Yes.
I have to say, reading this strategic influence manual, I felt dirty. It treats dating like a military operation.
It is incredibly cool, but we have to look at it because it's applying high-level game theory to love. The core concept here is the table base. You know what that is in chess?
I assume it's like a database of moves.
Sort of. In chess, a table base is a solved endgame. It knows every possible move and every possible outcome for a given board state. It doesn't hope to win, it calculates the probability of winning.
Okay.
The manual argues you should treat attraction the same way, not as a feeling, but as a continuously updating probability distribution.
Okay, that is a mouthful. What does that actually look like in real life?
Well, think of it like a GPS. Most people date like they're using an old paper map. They pick a route, I like this person, and they stick to it, even if they hit a roadblock or a red flag.
Right, we've been together 2 months, I have to make it work. That kind of thing.
Exactly, they're committed to the path. The grandmaster dater, as the manual calls them, acts like waves.
Okay.
The moment a traffic jam appears, maybe the person is flaky or rude to a waiter, the GPS immediately recalculates. It has no loyalty to the path, it only cares about the destination. It updates the probability of success instantly.
That sounds efficient, but also kind of sociopathic. Updating probability. It's so transactional.
It is. But the manual argues that we are already transactional, we just lie to ourselves about it. And it suggests some tactics that are, well, let's talk about constraint injection.
Constraint injection. It sounds like something you do to a computer program.
It's a stress test. Let's say you're dating someone and it's going great, you're paying for nice dinners, you're always available. The manual says, you don't actually know if they like you. They might just like the lifestyle you provide.
So how do you test it?
You inject a constraint. You artificially shortage. You say, hey, money's really tight this month, let's just do a picnic, or I'm swamped at work, I can't see you for 2 weeks.
So you purposefully make yourself less available or less valuable to see what happens.
You remove the output, the money, the time, and then you watch. Do they bond with you in that silence? Or do they get annoyed because the perks start flowing?
I mean, I get the logic. It's like checking the foundation of a house. But doing it on purpose, that feels manipulative.
The counter argument is that it's better to know now than 5 years from now, but it ties into the other big concept, rebalancing. It warns against the sunk cost fallacy. If you are putting in 80% of the effort and they are putting in 20, you are fragile.
Right.
The Waze move isn't to try harder, it's to pull back to match their energy.
Preserve your option value.
Exactly. If you walk away, you prove you have options. Stay and beg, you don't.
It makes sense, but it's so cold. I want to wash my brain out with something a little more human. Let's talk about the biological side of this, because we also look at that Reddit AMA with the researchers from Imperial College.
Yes.
And they seem to think our genes are playing a totally different game.
A much, much older game. While the strategist is playing chess, your biology is smelling t-shirts.
The smell thing. This is about the MHC genes, right?
Yes, the major histocompatibility complex. It's basically your immune system. And we are biologically wired to be attracted to the smell of people who have different immune genes than we do.
Because if we have a kid, they get, like, a double-strength immune system.
Precisely. It's an unconscious drive for genetic fitness. You can't strategize your way out of that. You either like how they smell or you don't.
And then there was the third cousin fact.
Yeah.
Which, I have to be honest, made me laugh out loud.
It's a great statistic. A study in Iceland found that couples who are third or fourth cousins actually have the most offspring and grandchildren.
That seems too close.
It sounds gross to us today, but biologically, it's a sweet spot. If you are two closely related siblings, first cousins, you get inbreeding issues.
Bad idea.
Very bad idea. But if you're too genetically distant, you might lose some compatibility, what they call co-adapted gene complexes.
So there's a Goldilocks zone of relatedness?
Apparently, it's called assortative mating. We tend to match with people who are similar to us, similar backgrounds, similar genes, just not too similar.
So, putting these two sections together, the strategic manual says, don't trust your feelings, trust the data, test your partner. And biology says, actually, trust your nose, and maybe hit up your distant family reunion.
It creates a real tension, doesn't it? The strategy is all about conscious control, fighting that certainty trap of blindly falling in love. But biology suggests that the certainty we feel, that magnetic pull, is there for a very good reason. It's millions of years of R&D pushing us together.
Well, if everyone is running a game, the marketers with their decoys, the daters with their constraint injections, our own DNA, how do we ever know what's real? How do we spot a lie?
This is where we turn to Paul Ekman. He's the godfather of lie detection. And the first thing he does is destroy the biggest myth in the book.
The fidgeting thing.
Right. If I ask you, did you steal the money? And you start scratching your nose or shifting in your chair, I assume you're lying.
Everyone assumes that. Fidgeting equals guilt.
And that is why we are so bad at catching liars. Ekman calls it the Othello error. Fidgeting, grooming, scratching, those are what he calls manipulators. But they don't mean you're lying.
What do they mean?
They just mean you're emotional. You could be nervous because you're lying, or you could be nervous because you're being accused of a crime you didn't commit.
So fidgeting is useless. What actually works?
You have to look for emblematic slips.
Define emblem.
An emblem is a gesture with a specific sort of dictionary definition in a culture. A head nod means yes. A shrug means I don't know.
Got it.
A slip is when a piece of that gesture leaks out when you didn't mean it to.
It's like a partial gesture.
Exactly. The classic one is the one shoulder shrug. Imagine you ask me, is this investment safe? And I look you in the eye and say, absolutely, it is rock solid. But as I say it, my left shoulder lifts just a tiny bit.
So your mouth is saying certainty, but your body is saying, I don't know.
Precisely. The body contradicts the words. That is the leak. Ekman also talks about the finger slip.
Oh, this one is dark.
It is. Sometimes when people are harboring unconscious anger, they might rest their hand on their leg or scratch their face. But if you look closely, the middle finger, it's an unconscious flipping the bird.
That is so real. So you're smiling at your boss, but your hand is literally cursing them out.
It's the truth slipping through the cracks of the performance. And I think that connects to the deeper theme here. We try to construct these narratives of certainty. I am confident, this price is right, this relationship is perfect. But the reality is always, always messier.
Which brings us to our final source. And this is a big pivot. We're going from how to spot a liar to, well, to Auschwitz.
It's a pivot, but it's a necessary one. We read The Dangers of Certainty, which centers on Dr. Jacob Bronowski. He was a mathematician, a historian, and in his series The Ascent of Man, there is this devastating scene where he stands at a pond on the grounds of Auschwitz.
And he says this is where his family members were killed. Their ashes were flushed into that pond.
Yes. And standing there, he makes an argument that flips everything we've talked about on its head. He talks about science. We usually think science is about finding the absolute truth, the facts.
Science equals certainty.
Bronowski says no. He brings up Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, the idea that you can't measure a particle's position and speed perfectly at the same time, but he renames it. He calls it the principle of tolerance.
Tolerance.
He argues that science only works because we accept that we are never 100% right. All knowledge is an approximation. We are always getting closer, but we never arrive at the God's eye view.
And he connects that scientific concept to the Holocaust.
He does. He reaches down into the mud of the pond, and he says that tragedy doesn't come from uncertainty, it comes from certainty. It comes when people believe they have absolute knowledge that they are pure and others are impure, that they are right and others are wrong.
When people believe that they have absolute knowledge with no test in reality, this is how they behave. That's the quote.
It's so powerful, and if you zoom out, think about what we discussed today. What is the decoy effect? It's a trick to give you a false sense of certainty so you'll spend more money.
In the dating strategy.
It's an attempt to impose logic and certainty on the chaos of human connection. We crave certainty so much that we will buy the wrong magazine, play games with our partners, or, in the extreme historical case, commit atrocities just to avoid the discomfort of saying, I don't know.
So Bronowski's solution, his antidote, is just to admit we're human.
He says we have to touch people, and he means that literally and metaphorically. We have to stay in touch with our own fallibility. We have to recognize that we are not gods, we are just people guessing at the world.
That is a lot to think about the next time I'm staring at a coffee menu.
It is, but it's liberating too. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to beat the system. You just have to be aware of it.
So quick recap of the machinery we uncovered today. We started with the pricing hacks, how a decoy option manipulates your brain's need for easy comparisons.
We looked at language and how calling something a community game versus a Wall Street game changes how we treat each other, and how AI might be pulling those levers very soon.
We went deep into the mating table base, using constraints and probability to test relationships, while our biology is busy sniffing out immune systems.
And we learned that the body can leak the truth through something as small as a one-shoulder shrug, even when we try our best to lie.
And finally, we ended with Bronowski's warning. The most dangerous thing in the world is to stop asking questions and assume you know everything.
The person who keeps updating their beliefs, like that GPS we talked about, beats the person who decides they've already arrived.
So that's the mission for this week. Touch someone, stay curious, and maybe don't trust the middle option on the menu. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.